Hey guys, and welcome to episode number 34 of Give It the Beans. Now, there has been already sort of 2 or 3 episodes this week, but I felt with the current situation, there's going to be a bit more frequency of episodes, maybe not as many with as much guests, but certainly a bit more content for you guys to take use of, hopefully implement into your own training. If you have any questions, anything you'd like covered at all in regards to what to do with your training, your diet, your food, maybe perhaps you feel lost, maybe you perhaps financially haven't been able to keep your coach on and you're just looking for a bit of advice or pointers on what to do, then all you got to do is just reach out to myself or one of the team and we should be able to give you a little bit of advice, whether that's through Instagram or through WhatsApp. All of our numbers are on our page, and all you need to do is just reach out, tell us that you're feeling lost, you're feeling like you need a bit of help, and then give us a bit of background and we'll be able to help you formulate a plan and go from there. Now, the good thing for ourselves and our clients is that we have a community, both of guys and girls, in separate chats, so they're able to make connections, relationships, support each other through a difficult time period, especially support each other's mental health, because that's one thing that tends to go down the tubes, right? We spoke, me and Clara, on the last podcast about that, and if you haven't listened to it, I'd urge you to please go do that, because she drops so many knowledge bombs. She is a master of exercise psychology, and combine that with, I think, just myself, years of experience working with people, and we hopefully came with some golden nuggets that was going to help you through this tough time. Now, in regards to training itself, this is why I wanted to come on the podcast to talk about training, to talk about food, to give you a little bit of some ideas. Now, a lot of people are worried, right? They're so worried and so concerned that they're going to lose all their gains, and they're going to lose tissue, and ultimately, the reason why that happens is because they think, right, I can't use as much load as I would usually use in the gym. That means that I'm going to get smaller. Now, if we think about the mechanisms of hypertrophy, it's not just mechanical load, right? We do have mechanical load, metabolic stress, mechanical tension, all right? So let's say you have some equipment at home and it's limited. You have some dumbbells or barbells, some plates, and maybe you have some resistance bands. There is no reason why we can't generate a fuckload of metabolic stress and mechanical tension. Now, if we know that those are mechanisms of hypertrophy or mechanisms of change, adaptive response in muscle, that should only then tell you, well, there's actually an opportunity here to still make some quote-unquote newbie gains. Now, unless you've got access to plates upon plates, heavy dumbbells, you're not going to get jacked in this period. But can you provide the tissue with a new stimulus to create an adaptive response? And the answer to that would be yes, you absolutely can. So you're thinking, well, Vaughn, I don't really know what metabolic stress is. Can you give me a little bit more information on that? Well, of course I can. So by metabolic stress, like in layman's terms, I'm referring to blood work, pump work. People say chase the pump. What we're trying to do is do a lot of reps, not a whole load of rest, and accumulate a lot of what we'd call metabolites. Now, these are, you could call them waste products of glycolysis, or layman's terms, like energy production. All right. So if we were to take it down to, like, when we produce energy, we also produce waste products. Now, what we want to do with metabolic stress is create a lot of waste products so that the body then has an adaptive response to cope with those waste products better. Whether that is a case of it increases our ability to endure and get more reps in, or increase our ability to get rid of those sort of metabolites. You might hear me often say that females have an increased sort of lactate threshold clearing capacity than us guys, simply meaning they recover quicker. Lactate is a metabolite from exercise, from muscle contraction. So we're thinking, right, so I could do like higher rep stuff because I've not got a lot of load, not got a lot of actual weight to go on the bar. But Vaughn, what about this other one? Mechanical tension. What is that? How do I take advantage of that? Well, mechanical tension is something that you should be always thinking about anyway. Am I right? So when you're in the gym, you're not just moving from A to B up and down on a squat. On a squat, you're thinking about, right, internally, what are my cues on the way down? So what am I thinking about in regards to, right, what muscle is doing the movement? Now, we also got to think about where we are initiating from and then coming back up on the likes of a squat. So it's not just a case of up and down. We are thinking about, okay, right, on the way down, I know that the hips are flexing, I know that my knee is flexing. Right, what does that? Okay, the hip flexors and the hammies. Right, let's get tension on them, turn them on, and then we move. Right, so we have this combination of, okay, we've got a little bit of mechanical load, but not enough to create too much breakdown. We do have metabolic stress, higher rep stuff, mechanical tension. Can we combine mechanical stress, metabolic stress, mechanical tension together? Absolutely. So if we're thinking about, like, let's say a lower body workout, here's one example of one superset I put together for clients. In fact, I'll give you two examples. So A1, I said barbell paused RDL, and then I gave them, a rep range of 8 to 10, 10 to 12, 12 to 15. You're probably thinking, but that rep range is still a bit low. Well, what I've said beside it is 3 second negative, holding the length and range for 1 second. So although perhaps the first set's only 10 reps, the time it's taken them to do that 10 reps is quite a long time, because it's going to be probably 4-5 seconds per rep. That set's almost a minute long, right? And then when they get to 12 to 15, again, that's going to take them a minute and a half. But straight after it, what I've given them is a 60-second wall sit, holding like a plate or a dumbbell on their chest, and with like a sumo stance. And the idea here would be to squeeze the glutes and hamstrings, get as much blood in there as possible. So we've broken down some tissue. We've added a little bit of a sort of tension, metabolic stress with exercise 1. Then exercise 2 is solely focused on generating as much intramuscular tension and blood flow as possible. And then thereafter I would rest for let's say a couple of minutes, and then go back and do the barbell paused RDL before. Now, you may be thinking, but Vaughn, I don't have a barbell. I don't have dumbbells. I've only got, maybe you've got some plates and a couple of light dumbbells. Well, what I said to a lot of clients is, do you have a strong backpack? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, cool, well, here's another option. Put all the dumbbells, plates and whatnot in the backpack. If not, I actually had a client who said to me, Vaughn, I can get like 20 litres of water in this strong backpack. I'm like, perfect. So let's say, for example, keeping it about the lower body, we want them to do a Bulgarian split squat. Let's put all the weights in the backpack, put that on our shoulders, right? And again, what we'll do is we'll focus on tempo. So we'll milk the negative here. So we'll go down for 2 seconds. Maybe we'll pause at the bottom. We'll focus on initiation. Drive up. So maybe 2 seconds down, 1 second pause, up for 2. Again, you can see how long that rep's taking. So again, 2 sets of 10 to 12, 1 set of 12 to 15. But then again, I'm going to team that. What I've done is we've teamed that with a 60-second banded hip thruster hold. And the notes I put beside that is I'm getting the client to loop either end of the band around their heels, pop the band over their hips, and then drive through to the shortened range and just hold there. And the idea behind it is that by the end, the glutes should be cramping. And again, the purpose of that is to generate as much intramuscular tension and blood flow and metabolites as possible. So that's an example of, 2 different supersets I've given to some clients, And maybe perhaps in the whole lower workout, I've given them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 supersets, one of which is actually sort of tagging on arms. And then similar for upper as well, same sort of concept. But how I'm liking to run this is mostly upper, lower, off, upper, lower, off. And the reason for that is because mechanical load is down, we don't elicit too much muscle damage from simply tension and metabolic stress. So it allows us to recover quicker. So if we're recovering quicker, we could train a bit more frequently. So you're thinking, right, we could train more frequently and we're able to still take advantage of the two mechanisms of hypertrophy. Well, aren't we still then doing just as much, if not more volume, going through the tissue as it was when I was in the gym? Yeah, you are. Right, so I'm not going to say to go work it out, but here's the way I try to pitch it to some clients. You've worked so hard up to now in the gym, and we've been doing a lot of mechanical load work, top sets, back off sets, focusing on low volume, getting brutally strong. So we've been doing a stimulus that has provided, reason for adaptation. The other two, we always focus on mechanical tension. Metabolic stress, if I'm honest, is a small part of what I usually program in a gym setting, in a gym scenario, because the adaptive response is so small. However, if you haven't never done a lot of it, that new stimulus is quite novel to you. And the body has one way of doing things. It wants to survive, right? It wants to adapt to stuff. So when you start to do something new, such as all this metabolic stress work with combat with mechanical tension, you then start to create an adaptive response. Now, by no means am I saying you're going to get jacked. By no means am I going to say you're going to add loads of muscle mass. But you'll sure as hell provide the muscle with enough stimulation to hold on to all the tissue that you've got. You should not lose any, as long as you are good with your food. I cannot reiterate that enough. Too many people have pressed the fuck it button and are just eating like dicks. What you don't realise is that the reason you do that is because you think that it won't last for a wee while. But what I'm finding is, as the weeks sort of tail to an end, people are accepting what's going on. They're accepting their circumstances. And to my fellow coaches out there that are listening, it will be a week or two before you will start to pick clients up again. You had a lot of clients drop off, perhaps, because they were worried, they were perhaps stressed about their finances, don't know if they're going to get paid and whatnot. However, there'll be a lot of people that are still getting paid normally and they don't want to get fat. And they're worried they're going to get fat, and they're worried they're going to lose all their gains, and they'll look to you. So still focus, if you are a coach, on providing the best service you can and adding as much value to your paying current clients, and then also focus on your marketing as well to pick up new ones. But serve your clients first. Over deliver, give them everything that they need, because your best opportunity for marketing is providing an amazing service. So back to what I was saying. If you have that novel stimuli that you've just started doing, and let's say this lockdown, let's say it does go on for 12 weeks, right? 12 weeks without a gym. However, maybe perhaps in those 12 weeks, as every week's went on, you've maybe got a new piece of equipment. You've added to your shed, your garage, whatever it is, right? In that time period, training can be adapted. I've said to a lot of clients, right, tell me what you've got. They told me what they've got. Said, right, here's a plan for right now. But next week, you've told me you're getting a squat rack and over 100 kilo worth of plates. We're going to adapt when they come. The next week after that, they might say, Vaughn, I've managed to pick up some cables. And then obviously thereafter, we adapt again. And we should, in theory, with the ones that are, where perhaps finances isn't an issue, should be able to still make progress. Whether that is progress in regards to getting leaner, progress in regards to holding on to tissue. However, I'm fortunate enough to work with a lot of clients who can get a lot of equipment and get heavy equipment. So a lot of barbells with a lot of plates and some heavy dumbbells. That combined with bands, honestly, is enough to continue to grow. We just have to make all the moves old school. So there's no, hack squatting, there's no pendulum squatting. It's back to barbells, it's back to fronts, it's back to split squats, back to elevated heel squats or front foot elevated squats. So in that time period, let's say 12 weeks, take both those scenarios. Scenario 1, you haven't got that much equipment, but you've done your best. You know what? You've applied yourself. You've actually trained really, really hard. Well, the gym's reopen. You've kept your structure. You've kept your routine. When you go back to the gym, you now have what the body will see as a new, novel stimulus. For the past 12 weeks, it has not been given heavy mechanical load. And you're thinking in your mind, right, okay, Vaughn's said before that a novel stimulus will create an adaptive response. So if I go into back to focus on mechanical load, I'm going to get an adaptive response. The answer is yes. Alright? So when you go back into the gym, although you'll be totally battered and you'll be really sore, your body's initial response will be grow. We want to adapt to this. We want to survive. And that's the reason why you're able to grow, is that the body sees what you're doing as an actual threat to its survival, so it adapts accordingly, right? It's why you get stronger, it's why you get bigger. Option number 2, where you've been training and you've had all the heavy equipment. Well, you go back into the gym, you've still been doing the mechanical load stuff, it's still there. So when you go back into the gym, your recovery is still on point. You go back into the same similar loading movements, but they'll be classed as new loading movements because your body's used to different movement patterns. So because you go, even though you've done them before, you go back into these sort of quote unquote new exercises and you'll grow. Because again, you're hitting tissue from different angles, different points, and ultimately, you can come at me with any problem that this is creating, and I'll always give you a solution in which will end with you being better by all the time this is over than in a worse position. But you have to want it, right? Understand that sometimes the method of training we're having to do to hold onto tissue, it's not fun for many people. Like, a lot of my clients just love training heavy and they love low volume and they love just fucking giving it the beans. And I'm like, right, you need to give it the beans at a high frequency and not a lot of load. And it kind of goes against our principles and our philosophies, but like anything, we have to adapt. You either adapt or die in this game. Now, that's training taken care of. For so many out there, they'll be wondering, what are my options with food now? What should I do? So again, I'll talk you through what I've done with some clients. With a lot of clients, as you'll know if you're listening to this, I will run a sort of, higher calories on a lower day, medium calories on an upper day, and then lower still on a non-training day. You simply don't need those fuel demands. Now, what I've done with a lot of people is I've reduced their calories effectively on an upper and a lower day. With the majority of them, we've simply went training day calories and then non-training day calories. So when I open up their file, I will go straight to their training day calories, and I've dropped them by about 200. And then I've went to their non-training day and I've done exactly the same, or I've taken it down that a little bit further. Reason being, because we aren't doing as much with mechanical load, we don't have the same fuel demands and thus the same recovery demands elicited by those big hack squats, the big deadlifts or whatever it may be. What I've also implemented with many that are working from home is a daily cardio target. Now this could be two options. Number one, they may have a bike in the house, they may have a treadmill or some sort of cross trainer. Now number two, get them to go outside and go for a run. For the heavier set guys, what I've said is, right, you're on a power walk and that's included in your step count. Now usually what I will always do is separate my step count and my cardio, because when we're doing cardio we want our heart rate to be, let's say 130 beats per minute, maybe pushing 140. When we're walking at quite a leisurely pace, depending on how fit you are, I mean, I know I'm getting pretty unfit now, but your heart rate is maybe not going to be more than 100 beats per minute. So what I've said to people is, right, you're only allowed to leave the house once a day. Some of them are able to get out twice. So we still want to do 10,000 steps, but in that 10,000 steps, we want to have a 30-minute run or a 30-minute power walk. And when we combine, so some people are off work, right? So they get up. I'm thinking, right, you get up, you go out for your walk or your run, come back, have meal 1. You wait a little bit, you do one of the home workouts, boom, you eat meal 2. And then maybe perhaps they've got 2-3 hours of check-ins or programming, or if they generally work from home or have to work from home because they're usually in an office, some admin work or something like that. And then perhaps later on mid-afternoon or in the evening they get out for another walk. Usually, 3,000 steps to 4,000 steps is usually what you can get in an hour. If you are running, obviously you could perhaps get in that a little bit more. But I think when you combine... So let's look at that as a whole then. So with training, for the majority of people, we're running an upper, lower, off split. With the ones that have a bit more equipment and are access to heavier equipment, particularly the guys, we are running a push-pull legs off split. With females that have a bit more equipment, we are running lower, upper, full body off. Simple as that. Every couple of weeks we'll have 2 days off. And again, communicating with clients is happening a bit more now than ever did, although even as an online coach you're always communicating. So we could often find out if someone's recovering or not. So that's what we've done with training. With food, we've lowered everybody's food for the most part. I had a couple of people that actually increased because they're bulking. But some people's prep still goes on. We have photo shoots happening here, 1 happening on Monday, and then 3 happening in a couple of weeks. And some people obviously are quite close to starting prep for shows later on in the year. So everything needed to be adapted, everything needed to be changed. And I think, as I've said, the initial freak out, this is 1 week since gyms got closed. The initial freak out, I still remember that Friday night, how many messages and texts I got, is calmed. And anyone out there who still feels a bit uncertain and a bit, worse for wear about the whole thing, I hope this podcast gives you the clarity that you need, the help that you need. And if it doesn't, reach out. Or if it does, here's the one payment for listening to this podcast. Share it with someone. Repost it on your story. Send it to them in a DM. If you enjoyed it, let me know. Put it on your story. DM me, just privately, WhatsApp me. Just say, hey Vaughn, that podcast really resonated with me and I love it. I had a guy message me last week about the what to do if your show's cancelled and we chatted a little bit on WhatsApp and he signed up as a client, and all because he said, Vaughn, you have no idea how much that podcast meant. And I'm going to just say something completely off the bat here. Something that happened to me yesterday. I was busy, each day has been spent doing a lot of home workout plans, adapting clients, phoning clients, and just generally being there like I should be as a coach and helping Ali and Clara as well. But one thing I kind of not forgot to do is that you forget how powerful a message can be, a voice note can be, a text can be. You might be doing okay, and there might be someone out there that might be struggling that doesn't know it. You have no idea how much your words could help them. Even if it's just a simple, hey, how's your head today? Some of the girls been sort of checking up at each other in a group. Hey, mental health check, how are we today? And when I heard this had been going on for a few days, and I heard this from Clara, I loved it. And it just kind of proved to me how important the community is. And today, if you're listening to this, what I ask you to do is pick up your phone, voice note someone, text them, just let them know that you care about them, you hope that they're well, and tell them to get back to you if they need you and you're here at any time. The reason I say that is yesterday, it was about 3 o'clock, 2:30. Most of you will know I done Mark Cole's Brand Impact Mastery course, and I'm usually really what's the word I'm looking for here? I post in the sort of Facebook group every Sunday. I check in with sort of targets and what I've done and this that, what the next thing. And the Sunday that the gym shut, I didn't do it. Right, I'm usually the first to do it. I didn't do it because, well, I just was so busy with getting back to clients and adapting that Mark just messaged me, voice noted me randomly, and just said, I hope you're well. I know you'll have adapted. Your brand will see you through the work you've done, and he said some other stuff, and it got me a little bit in the feels that someone I respected so much and had so much admiration for and has had such a big impact on my life, but also my business, just took the time out of their day to message and say, hey man, hope you're doing good, hope everything's fine. And then we chatted a little bit back and forth, a bit about business, a bit about bodybuilding, and it was awesome to be like, damn, it got me, because whether you know it or not, guys and girls, our mental health's all been affected by this, and I think that I don't be naive to think that it didn't affect mine. It's just I have a good way of turning a quote unquote bad situation into a positive one and a different outlook on life. And I think that the minute my fiance came home, it was just like, right, everything's fine, everything's going to be fine, everything's okay. And just a massive thank you to any clients listening to this. They're all standing by me, and it's even more like I'm always very, very grateful for what I do, being able to wake up and call my job quote unquote work, and I'll sit at this computer 10 hours a day, and it goes like that, and I love every minute of it. But to have a lot of clients stand by me, and for me to be in a position to still be able to pay a mortgage, pay bills, it really does still get a lump in my throat that clients will stick by you. Because don't get me wrong, we've had some drop-offs, and there'll be some people that maybe cancel their private gym membership and whatnot, but I think that what you need to remember is that if you want that private gym to still be open when the gym, once the lockdown's over, keep paying them. If you want that coach to still be around when you want to go back to them, keep paying them. And not just me, this is to anyone that has a coach or is thinking about leaving their coach. To know that I'll always stand by clients in their low periods, whether it's with their training or mental health, they've done a show or a shoot and they've got the result they want or they want to get better, to have them stand by me and by the other coaches in our time of need, is just something I want to come on and say that for myself and the team, Ali and Clara, we're incredibly grateful, and we thank you. So if you are not part of our team and you are worried and concerned about your training, what it is you want to do, could do, should do at this moment, you've heard about the community, it sounds appealing to you, but you're just not in a position right now that you feel you can commit, all we ask is that you just drop us a message on Instagram or WhatsApp, and you can arrange a free 15-minute to 30-minute consult call via Zoom, Skype, or a voice call through WhatsApp, or just general voice call. So I hope that this podcast has served its purpose. I hope it's given you an idea of what you can do in this current climate. Wherever you are, whatever you do, give it the beans.